If you're a beginner golfer, it can be difficult to know which direction you need to go to when it comes to choosing your first set of clubs. So in this video, myself and Sam Diath on the Golf Monthly equipment team, we're going to talk through some of the equipment decisions that beginner golfers often get wrong. So if you're a beginner golfer, you don't make the same mistakes. Let's get into the video. Right, so Sam, I'm going to throw to you first. What is the number one biggest equipment decision that beginner golfers get wrong?
I would say that beginner golfers typically make the wrong choices when it comes to choosing their golf clubs. There are three things that I think are notable, and that would be choosing clubs based on their looks, essentially based on their feel as well to an extent, but also what their favourite players are using. I feel like that last one there is pretty key. Choosing clubs that your favourite tour player plays. While you may like the idea of that brand and that specific range from that brand, but those exact clubs, they're probably not going to be good for you as a beginner golfer. Most tour pros are using, whether that be bladed irons or low launch, low spinning drivers, which just isn't going to give you the performance you need as a beginner golfer. And then when it comes to looks, obviously you want to like the look of the club to some extent, but choosing it based on the graphics or the colour on the club, that's really not going to do you any favours.
Okay, so what are the things that golfers should be prioritising when it comes to their equipment? What are the performance characteristics that are really going to help them out initially?
So there are a few things to look for. I think as a beginner golfer, you're going to want something especially that is more forgiving, probably the more forgiving model in the range if you're going to go premium. The likelihood of you hitting the ball consistently out the middle of the face as a beginner golfer is pretty slim, so you're going to want something with a lot of forgiveness when you're hitting those heel and toe strikes, still going to give you the carry distances that you look for. You're going to want something that's probably a bit lighter and launches a bit higher, give you a bit more carry and a bit more speed, and also something with a bit more spin. Going back to carry again, I feel most beginner golfers don't quite get the carry that they'd either look for or want out of their clubs. So a bit more spin will keep the ball in the air a bit longer, and therefore you're going to get a bit more distance out of those clubs as well.
Yeah, so there you have it. I think with beginner golfers, it's important to choose clubs that are function over form. So obviously it helps if you like the look of them, but choosing a set of clubs that's going to really work for your game initially can hopefully help you get around the course a little bit easier, and then you can get into your game, find your swing, and maybe upgrade down the line.
Okay, so Joel, there has been conversation about how almost every golfer should go and get custom fit golf clubs, but is that the case for beginner golfers?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I'm an advocate of custom fitting, but I think beginner golfers, if you're just starting, you haven't yet found your swing, so there's a good chance that as you start to play more rounds, your swing will change over time. If you're having lessons, maybe you're copying someone that you're watching on telly, your swing will change, and therefore if you've been through a custom fitting, after a few weeks, months, a few rounds, those clubs will therefore no longer be suited to your swing. So as you're starting out and just trying to find your groove in terms of your swing, how it looks, the shape of the swing, how you attack the ball, it's probably worth just getting a basic set of clubs that isn't custom fit. And then once you've found your swing, you know your tendencies, you can then go to a PGA Pro and they can look at your swing, and you've got a bit more of a pattern that they can work with, and therefore tailor those clubs to suit your swing, which is hopefully a little bit more consistent than it was at the start. The other consideration is the fact that premium custom fit clubs are a lot more expensive, so it's a bigger financial outlay at the start in a game that you might not like playing after a few months. You might think it's too hard, you haven't got the time or the patience to play golf. So having an expensive premium set of custom fit clubs is going to cost you a bit more money, and it might not work out for you financially like it would have done if you just had a low cost investment at the start, and then you can upgrade once you've really found your swing.
Yeah, so that was some really good advice there, Joel. I think, it's important to remember that if you have been given some hand-me-down clubs, or you've bought some second-hand clubs, whether that be from a friend or a family member, that you can also go and get the loft and lies checked, maybe with your PGA professional, and they should be able to give you some solid advice on whether you need those altering, maybe some more upright or flatter lie angles depending on your height and your golf swing. So yeah, some really good advice there.
Right, so some good advice so far, and if you have enjoyed the advice that you've listened to in this video, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're here at the beautiful Caversham Golf Club in just outside Reading, where Sam, you're going to talk us through another equipment decision that beginner golfers often get wrong. What is it, please?
For me, I think one of the big things that I see beginner golfers, they make this bad decision all the time, and that is becoming overly loyal to a certain brand. Whether you've got the driver from a certain brand that you've been given, or whether you've been fitted into that, for example, it doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the metalwood range even is going to suit you. So like I've got here the QI35 TaylorMade driver. It doesn't necessarily mean that the QI35 fairway wood, the 3-wood or 5-wood is going to be best for me. So getting out there, trying different brands, different ranges within those brands as well, is going to open your eyes and provide you with the best opportunity to build your bag that's going to suit your needs.
Yeah, and there are some examples of where you can choose specific type of clubs in certain areas of the bags that I think beginner golfers will really benefit from. What are some of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen it this year with the Ping bunker. So beginner golfers, you know, it's a stereotype, but a lot of beginner golfers do struggle out the sand. You know, you're learning the game and you're taught to hit the ball first before turf interaction with every other club in your bag. As soon as you get in a bunker, you're told to hit the ground before the ball, and it doesn't really make sense, and a lot of people struggle with that. So having a really wide lofted wedge in your bag to help you get out of bunkers, you know, it's just another example of specific clubs in specific areas of the bag. But, you know, as you get, you know, more progressive within your game and you get better at the game, you're going to want different clubs for different areas of the bag in general. So most people will fill their bag with a maximum 14 clubs, but you don't necessarily always need 14 clubs in your bag, do you, Joel?
No, and I would actually say as a beginner golfer, you're probably better off not filling that full quota of 14 clubs. We know 14 is the maximum number of clubs in your bag you can have, but it's not a target. If you look at most package sets out there which are designed for beginners who are just starting the game, they normally have between 9, 10, 11 clubs in there. So the fact is that with 14 clubs, obviously for highly skilled golfers, they all do a specific job, but for beginner golfers, inconsistent strikers of the ball, you probably only need 8 or 9 clubs to get your golf ball around the course. So obviously you're going to need a high lofted driver, you're going to need a putter, you're going to need some irons. Obviously we see a lot of half sets out there, which is good, where you're sort of missing an iron in the set, so it could go 5, 7, 9, and then a couple of wedges. That's perfectly enough clubs to get around most golf courses. And if you throw a hybrid in there, you've got more than enough. So don't feel obliged to ram your golf bag full of all 14 clubs. Start with a half set, see how you get on, and then you can see which gaps you want to fill first, depending on where you're struggling with or the course that you're playing. There might be certain holes where you need a 4-iron or a 6-iron that's really going to help you out and give you that yardage that you need on a particular hole. So that's definitely somewhere to start. And just to expand on Sam's point, there are a lot of sort of unconventional clubs that are out there that would really serve beginner golf as well. So it could be some really high lofted fairway woods, could be some zero torque putters, arm lock putters, broom handle putters. There's all sorts of different types of club that are really designed to help beginner golfers, high handicappers, get around the course in the fewest shots as possible. There's definitely experiment as much as you can, and that should definitely help you out if you're a beginner golfer. Right, so Sam, we've moved on to equipment beginner golfer mistake number 5. What is it, please?
So for me, mistake number 5 would have to be beginner golfers using lake balls or recycled balls. There's a reason these companies spend millions and millions every year in research to create golf balls and come up with new ways of designing new golf balls. So finding one that's been in the bottom of a lake for God knows how long and then taking it out on the course, it's just not going to have the same performance. The cores on these balls are designed and balanced in a certain way. They're designed for that reason, to keep the ball flying straight. You'll often find that cores deteriorate, or that even the casing deteriorates once they've been in lakes. So no matter how much they're polished up, they're just not going to perform the same. Yeah. You know, there's so much, you can get advice from your PGA Pro. Often on the back of the boxes, it even tells you all the specs for what golf ball, what they're designed to do, whether it's a softer or a firmer feeling ball, whether it's a spinny or non-spinning ball. And as a beginner golfer, consistency is key in golf no matter what level you play at, but especially as a beginner golfer, you want to get used to how a ball flies off the face, whether you're trying to carry it over a bunker or how it reacts when you're chipping and putting coming off the face. That's how you're going to get more consistent results throughout the bag. So yeah, my advice would be to stay well away from second-hand golf balls, as it were, but that's not necessarily the case with golf clubs, is it, Joel?
No, I think actually the second-hand golf club market is a bit of a treasure trove when it comes to clubs. Obviously, what the main thing it allows you to do is invest in premium brands without the premium prices. So, you know, your TaylorMades, your Titleists, your Callaways, you can get some clubs from those brands at a much more affordable price that's comparable with new clubs in package sets or new clubs from lesser known brands. And the other thing about the second-hand market is it allows you to experiment a bit more. So often with second-hand websites or retailers like Golf Clubs for Cash, for example, you get a 30-day trial period, so you can try a club, if it's not working for you, you can trade it back in and try something else. So that freedom to experiment, if you're a beginner golfer, is particularly valuable because, as I said before, you're still working out your game, you're still working out what's right for you, and so the ability to try clubs quickly with no obligation to invest large amounts of money in them is an absolute godsend. So definitely the second-hand market is good. There are obviously some drawbacks to it. The clubs are not going to be custom fit for you in any way, but obviously you can, if you know roughly what your spec is, you can sort of match it up using the filters on websites like Golf Clubs for Cash to get something that's vaguely similar for you. Obviously they're second-hand, so they're not going to be in the best condition, but you sort of get what you pay for in that regard, and Golf Clubs for Cash can make adjustments if you need to. I don't want this to turn into an advert for Golf Clubs for Cash, but clearly there is some value in the second-hand market, especially if you're a beginner golfer.
So that's some really good advice there, Joel. Just throwing it back to golf balls to end here, I think consulting with your PGA professional, once they've seen you hit a few shots, they'll be able to give you a really clear understanding of to what ball may suit your game the best, whether you need something that launches a bit higher or even a bit lower. I think there's a few balls on the market in particular that we really enjoyed and we tested this year. So you've got the Titleist True Fill, you've got the Wilson Durosoft, and you've got the Strixon AD 333, which I think is a brilliant ball for beginners in particular because it offers you really good performance. But even at an intermediate level, you see a lot of guys kind of start with that ball and then actually continue their golfing career with that ball. And they all come in at a very low price point. A lot of them are the lowest price point balls in that select range. So, you know, beginner golfers are losing a lot of balls. So getting balls that are brand new but at the cheaper price point is really important.
So there you have it. I hope you found this compilation of equipment mistakes that beginners golfers often get wrong useful. If we've missed anything, do let us know in the comments below. If you are a beginner golfer and there's other mistakes that you've made that you think other golfers would really benefit from knowing about, again, put that down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Do hit that like button if you like it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But that's all from me and Sam here at the Caversham Golf Club. We'll see you next time.